Groq is the current fastest AI inference engine in the world. You can run different models using their API. However, there is one issue. We cannot access real-time data. We are still limited by the knowledge cutoff for the AI model. Imagine if we could combine a super fast AI with real-time data from the internet. That's exactly what I want to show you in this video. Hi everyone, my name is Hilman from SerpAPI. Today we are going to see how to use function calling at Groq. Function calling is actually a term used by OpenAI and used by many other AI companies, but Groq itself didn't mention function calling specifically, but you can use the information related to this feature on the tool use. So in the tool use, you can see all the models that supported this function calling feature. And also, one of the use cases is to convert natural language into API calls. To understand it better, I have drawn a simple graph at TLDraw here. For example, I said today, my brother lives in New York. I wonder what's the weather in New York is right now. So based on this prompt, we want to catch what's the query that we can use to search for this information. So it depends on what function or what API do we want to use. For this video example, we want to use the answer box from Google Search API provided by SerpAPI. So what we need to run that function is the query that we want to search for. Based on this example, we want the AI to get this query weather in New York. After determine what's the query, we want to call the actual function. It can be a third-party API function or the internal function that we built ourselves. After we get the real information from the internet, we want to turn this data into a human language so the AI model can reply back to conversation in a natural way. We are going to use the Google Direct Answer Box API from SerpAPI so we can access the answer from Google programmatically. It enables us to have a real-time data for a question like what's the weather on a certain city or a certain area. Here is a simple demo of what we are going to build. I'm going to use an HTTP client from VS Code called Thunder, but feel free to use any other client like Postman or anything. So we are going to create a simple endpoint here and sending a message, and we will let the AI answer any of our questions that needed a real-time data information. Going to click send. I'm also going to show you the output that I logged at the console. So it's going to call an external API called getSearchResult, and here is the result. Now let's see what my Node.js code looks like. So I'm declaring a new Express framework here. I'm also using .env to store my credentials like Grog API key and also SerpAPI key, the third API that I'm going to use to show the function calling capabilities. I get it all from our env file, so make sure to declare all your variable there. Next, we will set up the Groq. You can include the API key and choose any model you want. I'm going to choose the latest model, which is Telemetry. And now I'm declaring the external API or the custom function that we are going to call. You can declare as much as external functions that you want to use. So here I'm calling the function getSearchResult, which is a method from SerpAPI to get the answer box from the response of any query that we search for. Next, I'm going to show you the endpoint before we are going to take a look at the main method. So we hit this test endpoint, we get the message from the user, and we are going to run this method called run conversation before sending the reply. Now let's take a look at the run conversation method. We are getting the message, and now we are going to construct the messages here first from the system. I'm going to wrap it so you can see all the sentence. So here is for the system, you are a function calling LLM that can use the data extracted from the getSearchResult function. So I'm telling explicitly what function they are going to call. If you have more than one function, then you can adjust the instruction as well here. And now for the user role, we can include the message that we got from the user prompt. So here is our message variable. And next we are going to have a tools, which has this schema. We call it time function, and on the function object, we declare the name, description, and the parameters. This is the important part. You must declare what properties that you wish to grab from the user prompt, so from the human natural language into a structured data that we can use to call our function. We can also tell what's required. And now, at the chat completion method, we are going to attach the messages, the model, the tools, and also the token. I also played a little bit by including tool choice or not. I prefer to not include it for now, but you can of course add tool choice to auto, for example, if you have multiple tools. Now we will get the message, and we will need to get the tool calls variable from the response message. If there is no tool calls, it means it's a simple response. We will just return it. But if there's any, then we will match depend on what function that we already declare and want to call. And here is the loop. Since there is potentially multiple function calling, we will push everything to this variable messages. And for the second response, so after we grab the data, after we call the actual function, which is the get search result, so we already have all the response from the actual Google results. Now we want to provide this data to the LLM to think about it and provide and return to us into a human natural language. So we don't want the response in some kind of JSON format, which include all the raw data, but instead I want it to answer in a human response. That's why we perform a second call here. And next we just return the content just like before. And let's try again to call and test this time. Let's ask the stock, what's class stock today? And here is what it shows me. I'm going to show you the real data from Google answer box. It's 183.01. So as you can see, it get the real data from Google. I will attach the code sample and also step-by-step blog tutorial if you are interested in the description below. Feel free to try.